Lisa, my understanding is you're ready to break down the birthright citizenship ruling for us.
Yeah, and it's narrower, Antonia, than we thought it was going to be, certainly by listening to oral argument. There are 5 justices who have voted to say that the 14th Amendment's citizenship clause protects birthright citizenship as we have long understood it. A 6th justice, Justice Kavanaugh, joins the opinion in part, but not in whole. And let me read to you his stunning first paragraph. He says that the executive order that's at issue here establishes new exceptions to birthright citizenship for children born to foreign citizens unlawfully or temporarily in the country. That the court today holds that the order violates the 14th Amendment. I respectfully disagree with the court's constitutional holding. In my view, the executive order doesn't violate the 14th Amendment, but it does contravene a federal statute. And then Justice Kavanaugh goes out of his way to say, consistent with the 14th Amendment, Congress could amend that statute or otherwise enact new legislation establishing exceptions to birthright citizenship.
John, here, what I'm about to say might surprise you. Trump is facing multiple back-to-back Supreme Court rulings, and legal analysts say he is almost certain to lose every one. The court he tried to stack with loyalists may now deliver devastating blows to his presidency. Already, Trump is reeling from a massive defeat earlier this year when the Supreme Court struck down his tariffs in a decisive vote. The Chief Justice wrote the majority opinion, laying out in no uncertain terms that Trump's tariff authority constitutes an illegal seizure of extraordinary and unlimited power. The Chief Justice said it directly. He said Trump is seizing power that the Constitution does not give him. He said it is illegal. The Chief Justice of the United States said Trump's tariffs are unconstitutional. And 6 justices agreed with him.
For children born to foreign citizens unlawfully or temporarily in the country, but Congress has not yet done so. In other words, 5 justices saying the Constitution is the Constitution is the Constitution, and Justice Kavanaugh saying, yeah, I agree with them in terms of the state of federal law, but if Congress wants to change this, that's up to Congress. And so let me make a larger point about Justice Kavanaugh today. We often talk about the Roberts Court. After today, this term at least will be a big, thumb on the scale, fist on the table for Brett Kavanaugh, who has issued multiple majority opinions today and also is really the big deciding vote here, right? By concurring in the judgment, but also leaving for another day whether Congress can make a different decision. You can see how in a court composed a little bit differently, because it is only a 5-4 decision on the constitutional ground, how this could have gone very differently, despite the fact that after oral argument, many of us thought this might be a 7-2 decision, and instead
6. That is a supermajority. That is a definitive statement from the highest court in the land that Trump overstepped his authority, that he violated the Constitution, that he tried to take power that does not belong to him. But that was just the beginning. That was just the warm-up act. That was the opening salvo in what is about to become an all-out assault on Trump's presidential authority. Now, the Supreme Court is about to deliver 3 more catastrophic rulings before summer recess, and all of them are coming within weeks of each other. 3 rulings, all devastating, all going against Trump, all telling him that he has overstepped his constitutional authority in ways that cannot be allowed to stand. And here is what is absolutely wild about this entire situation.
What you've got is only 5 justices saying constitutionally birthright citizenship is the law of the land, a 6th saying it's the law of the land, but only because of federal statute. And then you've got 3 other justices saying no. They would side with the president here and say that the executive order is perfectly consistent with the Constitution of the United States because, I believe, of this phrase in the middle of the citizenship clause saying subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That was the argument that the Solicitor General made at oral argument, saying that it doesn't cover people who are not permanently domiciled in this country, making an argument that Wong Kim Ark, this 120-plus year precedent, did not settle for all time, whether somebody born in this country was in fact a citizen, but was intended to be always a narrower ruling based on the fact that Wong Kim Ark's parents had settled in California, that they always intended to remain there. They had no allegiance to their home country. And John Sauer sort of using that to drive a wedge.
At oral arguments in one of the most critical cases, all 9 justices expressed skepticism of Trump's position. All 9. Not just the liberal justices who were expected to oppose him, not just the justices Trump did not appoint. All 9 justices, including Trump's own 3 appointees, all 9 said they are skeptical of Trump's power to fire a key official. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who Trump appointed to the court specifically because he believed she would be loyal to him, said the firing could trigger a recession. Barrett is a Trump appointee. Barrett is supposedly loyal to Trump. And Barrett said firing this official could destroy the economy.
Into that citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment that previously courts did not understand to exist.
Fallon Gallagher, if you're still there outside of the Supreme Court, I'm wondering if you can give us some color here, because as Lisa just described, I mean, for months now, people have been both pretty publicly and behind the scenes expecting something closer to a 7-2 decision here. How shocked are people where you are?
Yeah, they're not shocked, but not as much reaction as I would have imagined here for such a big decision, especially one that we knew was coming today. I actually would say that I heard louder cheers when we actually got the transgender athlete ban. But again, like you said, this is narrower, a narrower split than we had anticipated. After arguments, it seemed like there was no question that the Supreme Court was going to hold up birthright citizenship. It was just a matter of how broadly, whether that was going to be 7-2 or 8-1. So a 6-3, really more of what seems to be a 5.5, 3.5, if you look at the Kavanaugh split, is a much closer ruling than we would have imagined. But again, this is still a big loss for the president, overturning one of his signature executive orders that he signed on his first day in office, upholding birthright citizenship.
Barrett is warning Trump that his action is dangerous. Barrett is expressing serious concern about the consequences of what Trump has done. All 9 justices are skeptical. All 9. The entire court is united against Trump on this issue. And that is just one of the cases. The birthright citizenship ruling is coming, and it is going to be another devastating blow. Trump issued an executive order denying citizenship to U.S.-born children of undocumented immigrants. That affects millions and millions of American-born people. Millions. Trump wants to strip them of citizenship.
And as you know, this has been enshrined in our country for a very long time. We had the 14th Amendment, of course, after the Civil War, but then the Supreme Court itself upheld this precedent in 1898 with that case, Wong Kim-ark, where it said that if you are born on U.S. soil, you have birthright citizenship. And so that remains to be the case here. As far as the reaction here, Antonia, I would not be surprised if this starts to build throughout the day as word spreads. Decisions are a little bit less buzzy than they used to be in the pre-COVID times because you don't have to actually run them out in the same way. So this is one where I think the crowd will gradually build here because this is, at the end of the day, still a win for birthright citizenship.
Catherine, given what we've seen Kavanaugh do today, what does that signal to you about what may be to come here?
Well, I think it's important to say who the 5 justices are who said the Fourth Amendment means what it says. Roberts, Barrett, Sotomayor, Jackson, and Kagan. And we can expect, which was happened in the tariff case, the president might have some words to say about Justice Barrett and Justice Roberts. But as Lisa pointed out,
Trump issued an executive order attempting to rewrite the Constitution. Trump is trying to deny birthright citizenship, something that has been settled constitutional law for generations. And the Supreme Court is about to rule it unconstitutional. Every federal court that reviewed the order said it is unconstitutional. Every single court. And at oral arguments, not a single justice expressed support for Trump's position. Not one. Not a single justice said Trump has the authority to deny birthright citizenship. Every justice skeptical, every justice opposed. And Trump was sitting in the courtroom when this happened. Trump was there, Trump was watching. Trump was sitting in the gallery watching his own Supreme Court tell him he is wrong. Trump was watching the justices signal that they are going to strike down his executive order. Trump was sitting there listening to his own appointees tell him his order is unconstitutional. And then there is the independent agency case. The case that will decide whether Trump can fire the leaders of independent regulatory agencies. The FTC, the FCC, the EPA, all the agencies Trump has tried to purge, all the officials Trump has tried to remove, all of it hanging in the balance. This is the case that will decide whether Trump can do any of it. And legal scholars say this could be the most sweeping limitation of presidential power in modern American history. The most sweeping in modern history. The ruling could overturn everything Trump has done to reorganize the executive branch. The ruling could reinstate every official Trump fired. The ruling could restore the independence of every agency Trump tried to politicize. So Trump is facing a catastrophic month. 3 major Supreme Court rulings, all coming in a short time frame, all expected to go against Trump, all dealing with fundamental questions of presidential power, all likely to strike down Trump's major executive actions, all likely to severely limit Trump's authority. And this is the court Trump believed was his permanent shield. This is the court Trump appointed 3 justices to. This is the court Trump thought would back him no matter what. This is the court Trump thought would protect his power and give him everything he wanted. But instead, the court is telling Trump no. The court is telling Trump his actions are unconstitutional. The court is telling Trump he does not understand the Constitution. And the court has already dealt Trump a second major blow. A federal judge struck down Trump's immigration policies, sweeping policies blocking green cards, blocking asylum applications, blocking legal immigration benefits for citizens of dozens of countries. The judge called them driven by anti-immigrant sentiments rather than law. The judge struck them down. The judge ruled them unconstitutional. So Trump has suffered multiple consecutive major legal defeats at the federal and Supreme Court level in recent months. Multiple straight defeats. Tariff struck down, replacement tariff struck down by another court, a major fund frozen by a district court, immigration policies blocked in federal court, multiple straight losses all within a short period, and now the Supreme Court is about to deliver 3 more. Section 2, the Federal Reserve ruling, the birthright citizenship ruling, the independent agency ruling. 3 more devastating defeats. 3 more repudiations of Trump's authority. 3 more rulings telling Trump that his actions are unconstitutional. Here is what you need to understand right now. Trump has lost his Supreme Court shield. Trump has lost his institutional protection. Trump has lost the branch of government he thought would back him no matter what. The Supreme Court is no longer Trump's tool. The Supreme Court is now Trump's greatest threat. And the timing is absolutely devastating. These rulings are coming before the midterm elections. These rulings are coming when Trump is most vulnerable. These rulings are coming when every other branch of government is already moving against Trump. These rulings are coming when Trump is weakest. The birthright citizenship ruling will affect millions of people, millions of American-born people, millions of people whose citizenship Trump wants to strip. The Supreme Court is about to tell Trump no. The Supreme Court is about to tell Trump that all those millions of Americans are citizens and Trump cannot change that. The Supreme Court is about to tell Trump that he does not understand the Constitution. The Federal Reserve ruling will potentially overturn years of Trump executive actions. Years. Every official Trump fired, every agency Trump purged, every reorganization Trump attempted, all of it potentially illegal. All of it potentially subject to being overturned, all of it potentially subject to the fired officials suing for reinstatement. The Supreme Court is about to deliver a nuclear weapon directly into the heart of Trump's presidency. The court is about to strike down birthright citizenship. The court is about to strike down Trump's ability to fire key officials. The court is about to strike down Trump's ability to control independent agencies. The court is about to strip Trump of power. And Trump called these justices fools. Trump called them lapdogs. Trump called them disloyal to the Constitution. Trump called them an embarrassment to their families. Trump attacked them viciously. Trump threatened to pack the court. Trump declared war on the Supreme Court. And now the Supreme Court is about to respond by striking down every major executive action Trump has attempted. Let us really understand what these Supreme Court rulings mean and why they are so catastrophic for Trump. Let us start with the Federal Reserve case, the case that will decide whether Trump can fire a key official without cause. Trump fired this official, but Congress created the Federal Reserve with a specific structure. Congress said the official would have a specific term. Congress said the president cannot fire this official without cause. Congress deliberately insulated the Federal Reserve from direct presidential control. Congress wanted the Fed to be independent from politics. But Trump does not accept that. Trump does not respect that structure. Trump does not want the Fed to be independent. Trump wants to control the Federal Reserve. Trump wants to control monetary policy. Trump wants to be able to fire officials whenever he wants. Trump wants to eliminate the independence that Congress created. So Trump fired the official. Trump removed her from office. Trump violated the statute that Congress created. Trump violated the law that says these officials cannot be fired without cause. And the official sued. She said, Trump cannot do this. She said Trump violated the law. She said Trump is taking unconstitutional action. And at oral arguments, all 9 justices expressed skepticism of Trump's position. All 9. Not even Trump's own 3 appointees sided with Trump. Not one. All 9 justices said they doubt that Trump has the authority to fire these officials without cause. Justice Barrett specifically warned that the firing could trigger a recession. Barrett said removing an official in the middle of Trump's term could damage the economy. Barrett said the consequence of Trump's action could be severe economic harm. Barrett is a Trump appointee. Barrett said this: Trump's own justice warned him about the consequences of his action, and the court is going to rule that Trump cannot fire these officials without cause. The court is going to rule that Congress's insulation of the Federal Reserve is constitutional. The court is going to rule that Trump does not have the authority to control the Fed. The court is going to strike down Trump's firing of the official. But the implications go far beyond just this one case. The implications extend to every independent agency. The FTC, the FCC, the EPA, every agency that Congress insulated from direct presidential control. Every agency that has statutory removal protections. Every agency that Trump has tried to purge. Because if Trump cannot fire the Fed official without cause, then Trump cannot fire the FTC chairman without cause. Trump cannot fire the FCC commissioner without cause. Trump cannot fire the EPA administrator without cause. The same legal principle applies to all of them. The same constitutional logic extends to all of them. So the Federal Reserve ruling sets a precedent that applies to the entire executive branch structure that Congress created. The ruling limits Trump's ability to control independent agencies. The ruling restricts Trump's power to reorganize the government. The ruling protects institutional independence against presidential overreach. And every official Trump fired could sue. Every official Trump removed from an independent agency could claim that the removal was illegal. Every official could demand reinstatement. Every official could demand back pay. Every official could bring their own lawsuit. Hundreds of lawsuits, thousands of claims, all based on the same Supreme Court ruling. So the Federal Reserve case is the earthquake that shakes everything else. The Federal Reserve ruling is the precedent that affects every other ruling. The Federal Reserve case is the foundational decision that determines the limits of presidential power. Now let us talk about the birthright citizenship ruling. Trump issued an executive order denying citizenship to U.S.-born children of undocumented immigrants. The order affects an enormous number of people, millions of American-born people. Millions of people whose citizenship Trump wants to retroactively strip. The Constitution says that all persons born in the United States are citizens. The 14th Amendment says it, the Citizenship Clause says it, all persons born in the United States. Not most, not some, all. All persons born in the United States are citizens. But Trump says that clause does not apply to children of undocumented immigrants. Trump says the birthright citizenship clause has an exception. Trump says the exception is that the parents have to be lawfully in the country. Trump is trying to reinterpret the Constitution. Trump is trying to read an exception into the Constitution that the Constitution does not contain. And every federal court that reviewed the order struck it down. Every federal judge, every federal circuit, every judge said Trump's interpretation is wrong. Every judge said the Constitution clearly grants citizenship to all persons born in the United States. Every judge said Trump is trying to rewrite the Constitution. And at oral arguments before the Supreme Court, not a single justice expressed support for Trump's position. Not one. Not a single justice said Trump has a valid constitutional argument. Not a single justice suggested that birthright citizenship could be limited to children of legal immigrants. Every justice skeptical. Every justice opposed. The liberal justices were opposed. That was expected. But Trump's own appointees were also opposed. Trump's own justices do not support his position. Trump's own justices are going to vote against him. So the Supreme Court is going to rule that Trump's birthright citizenship order is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court is going to rule that all persons born in the United States are citizens, including children of undocumented immigrants. The Supreme Court is going to strike down Trump's executive order. The Supreme Court is going to tell Trump that he does not understand the Constitution, and millions of people will remain citizens. Millions of people whose citizenship Trump tried to strip will keep their citizenship. Millions of people will have the Supreme Court protecting their constitutional rights. Millions of people will be safe from Trump's attempt to denationalize them. Section 3. The Supreme Court is going to address fundamental constitutional questions. The court is going to reaffirm the principle that the Constitution limits presidential power. The court is going to demonstrate that no president is above the Constitution. The court is going to show that even a president with 3 justices on the bench cannot unilaterally rewrite the Constitution. And now let us talk about the independent agency case, the case that will decide whether Trump can fire the leaders of independent regulatory agencies, the case that will decide whether Trump can control the FTC, FCC, EPA, and dozens of other agencies. Trump has tried to fire the FTC chairman. Trump has tried to remove the FTC commissioner. Trump has tried to purge the EPA leadership. Trump has tried to fire officials at independent agencies that Congress protected with statutory removal limitations. Trump has tried to assert direct political control over institutions that Congress deliberately insulated from political control. And the Supreme Court is going to rule that Trump cannot do this. The Supreme Court is going to rule that Congress's statutory removal limitations are constitutional. The Supreme Court is going to rule that Trump does not have the power to control independent agencies without cause. And legal scholars say this could be the most sweeping limitation of presidential power in modern American history. The most sweeping in modern history. The ruling could define the outer limits of presidential authority. The ruling could establish that there are areas of the government that the president cannot unilaterally control. The ruling could protect institutional independence against presidential overreach forever. So the 3 major rulings, Federal Reserve, birthright citizenship, independent agencies, are all going to strike down Trump's actions. All 3 are going to limit Trump's power. All 3 are going to protect institutional independence. All 3 are going to tell Trump that the Constitution restricts what he can do. And all 3 are coming within weeks of each other. 3 Supreme Court rulings, 3 devastating defeats, 3 repudiations of Trump's constitutional authority, 3 nuclear weapons delivered directly into Trump's presidency. Let us break down what this all means and what happens next. There are 5 critical things you need to understand here. First, the Supreme Court is about to deliver 3 consecutive devastating rulings in a very short time frame. Second, all 9 justices have already signaled skepticism of Trump's positions at oral arguments. Third, the Federal Reserve ruling will set a precedent affecting hundreds of Trump executive actions. Fourth, the birthright citizenship ruling will protect millions of Americans. Fifth, every branch of government is now simultaneously moving against Trump. The Supreme Court is about to deliver 3 consecutive devastating rulings. 3 rulings, all expected to go against Trump, all expected to strike down Trump's executive actions, all expected to limit Trump's power. The Federal Reserve ruling will strike down Trump's firing of the official. The birthright citizenship ruling will strike down Trump's executive order denying citizenship to American-born children of undocumented immigrants. The independent agency ruling will strike down Trump's attempts to fire the leaders of independent regulatory agencies. 3 rulings, all devastating, all going against Trump. All 9 justices have already signaled skepticism of Trump's positions at oral arguments. All 9, not just the liberal justices, not just the justices Trump did not appoint. All 9 justices expressed doubt about Trump's constitutional arguments. All 9 justices signaled that they are likely to rule against Trump. So Trump has already lost. The outcome of the cases is almost certain. The Supreme Court is almost certain to strike down all 3. The justices have already indicated their positions at oral arguments. The votes are already counted. Trump has already lost. The rulings are coming to formalize what the justices have already decided. The Federal Reserve ruling will set a precedent affecting hundreds of Trump executive actions. The ruling will establish that independent agencies are protected from direct presidential removal without cause. The ruling will establish that Congress's statutory removal limitations are constitutional. The ruling will establish that Trump cannot control the Federal Reserve, the FTC, the FCC, the EPA, and dozens of other agencies. And every official Trump fired from an independent agency could sue for reinstatement. Every official could demand back pay. Every official could bring their own lawsuit. Hundreds of lawsuits, thousands of claims, all based on the same Supreme Court precedent, all challenging the same Trump action. So the Federal Reserve ruling is not just about one official. The Federal Reserve ruling is about the entire structure of the executive branch. The Federal Reserve ruling is about the limits of presidential power. The Federal Reserve ruling is about protecting institutional independence against presidential overreach. The Federal Reserve ruling is about the future of American government. The birthright citizenship ruling will protect millions of Americans, millions of people whose citizenship Trump tried to strip, millions of people who will have the Supreme Court protecting their constitutional rights, millions of people who will be safe from Trump's attempt to denationalize them. And the ruling will establish the principle that the Constitution means what it says. All persons born in the United States are citizens. The Constitution does not have hidden exceptions. The Constitution does not contain secret limitations. The Constitution means what it plainly says. All persons born in the United States are citizens. And the Supreme Court will tell Trump that he does not understand the Constitution. The court will tell Trump that he does not have the authority to rewrite the Constitution. The court will tell Trump that the Constitution restricts what he can do. The court will tell Trump that he is not above the Constitution. Every branch of government is now simultaneously moving against Trump. The executive branch is divided. Congress is rebelling. Republican senators are voting against Trump. The Senate is rejecting Trump's agenda. The House is pushing impeachment. The courts are striking down Trump's executive orders. The Supreme Court is about to strike down 3 more. Every branch, every institution, every level of government, all moving against Trump. Here is what you need to understand right now. Trump's presidency is ending not because of an election, not because of a political defeat, but because of the Constitution. Because the Constitution limits what Trump can do. Because the Supreme Court is about to enforce those limits. Because the Supreme Court is about to tell Trump no. And the Supreme Court is the final word. The Supreme Court has the last say. The Supreme Court defines the Constitution. The Supreme Court sets the precedent. The Supreme Court decides what is constitutional. And the Supreme Court is about to decide that Trump is unconstitutional. And this is the court that Trump appointed 3 justices to. This is the court Trump thought would back him. This is the court Trump thought would protect his power. But instead, the court is telling Trump no. The court is telling Trump his actions are unconstitutional. The court is telling Trump he does not understand the Constitution. And the timing is devastating. These rulings are coming before the midterm elections. These rulings are coming when Trump is most vulnerable. These rulings are coming when every other branch of government is already moving against Trump. These rulings are coming when Trump is weakest. And the rulings are going to cascade. The Federal Reserve ruling will set a precedent for the independent agency ruling. The birthright citizenship ruling will establish principles about constitutional interpretation. The independent agency ruling will limit Trump's control over the entire executive branch. The three rulings together will fundamentally limit Trump's power. And Trump called the justices fools. Trump called them lapdogs. Trump attacked them viciously. Trump threatened to pack the court. Trump declared war on the Supreme Court. And now the Supreme Court is about to respond by striking down every major executive action Trump has attempted. The Supreme Court is about to deliver a series of rulings that will strike down Trump's executive orders, limit his power, and affirm that he is not above the Constitution. Trump cannot stop it. The rulings are coming, and he is about to lose.